Welcome to Carol's Kitchen. On today's show, I will be making baked pork chimichangas and chocolate peanut butter pie. Our musical guests are Lydia Bachorik, flutist, and her accompanist, Emily Kindstedt. Lydia is a junior music major at MBU from Fergus Falls, Minnesota. Emily hails from Whitewater, Wisconsin. She finished her music major in May of 2021 and now works for Maranatha's Piano Pedagogy School as well as being a dorm supervisor. Our story today has three main characters: a dog named Mocha, a cat named Laylee, and a mouse who shall remain nameless. The title is Entertaining Rodents Unaware. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? So let's get to it. On today's menu is baked pork chimichangas. Actually, it's quite simple to put together, and I think you'll enjoy them. You start out with 2 cups of pork, that's pulled pork, as it were. I roasted it in advance and got it all pulled, as it were. Add a 1/4 cup to a 1/3, perhaps to your taste, of red onions cut up, and you could also use yellow onions or Vidalia onions or even green onions. I'm going to add some of our spices. It is a teaspoon of cumin, and if you like cumin, you maybe want to add more, but it seems like a teaspoon really is quite enough for this recipe. And a 1/2 teaspoon of whole oregano. So as far as extra flavors, that is it. 1 cup of salsa. I choose to use a mild salsa. If you like things a little bit more hot, feel free to do so. Then this is a 1.5 cups of cheese, and you could use whatever cheese you prefer, a cheddar or a Colby Jack, or this is a Mexican blend of cheese, very nice. And I found that it works nicely to make the mixture malleable is to add some of the broth from the slow cooking of the pork. I put the pork in a slow cooker overnight, and if you don't have the juices from the roast itself cooking, you certainly could use a little chicken broth that you can buy boxed. But I think this adds a nice moisture to the mixture. So let me clear things away a little bit here. And we're going to start, that is it. We're going to start assembling the chimichangas using 8-inch flour tortillas. And they suggest that you maybe warm up the tortillas just a little bit so that they fold nicely. And in the center of each tortilla, put about a 1/2 cup of the meat mixture. And folding up and folding down to kind of meet, and then carefully just kind of put it in a little package and fold it over this way. Right now, I'm just going to place these on this baking sheet that has parchment paper on it. And if you didn't have the parchment paper, you could probably put like spray on it so that they don't stick. But it's just a matter of assembling these, and pretty handily. You could substitute chicken for this if you'd like. That's a common chicken chimichangas. But this pork roast that I found was just so beautiful that I decided I wanted to do it with pork. And oftentimes you get a little mixture of white and dark meat, and if you use just chicken breasts, then you are getting, sometimes it's a little dry. And so with this roast, I'm getting a little bit of dark meat and white meat all mixed together, which is perfect. Now always, when you put it down on the pan, you want to put it seam side down. And they will, maybe a little of the juice might leak out as you go along, but you've got the paper collecting it, so that would be really not a big deal. And maybe just a little bit more here. Oops. And the folding is not that tricky. You just kind of think of it like wrapping a present. And it works pretty slick. I suppose you could use whole wheat tortillas, if that is your preference, and that's certainly, in terms of a little roughage, is a healthy thing to do. But these regular flour tortillas seem to work just beautifully, and I'm always open to other options. And it works out almost just perfectly to have enough for 8 chimichangas for this batch. And the meat was just 1 pound. It was 2 cups, but that was 1 pound of the pork roast. So what remains to be done is putting some butter on the surface. You could melt butter, and there certainly wouldn't be anything wrong with that. But I've found that butter spray works well, works perfectly, and covers nicely, and is pretty handy. The oven has been preheating for some time now at 400 degrees, so we're ready to put it in the oven. We bake it for 20 to 25 minutes until the tops are golden, and then when we get done, we will garnish it today with sour cream and a little more salsa, but you certainly can put guacamole or whatever your favorite Tex-Mex topping is. So I think you'll enjoy these. The first selection Lydia Bachorik will be playing for us comes from Paul Hindemith's Sonata for Flute and Piano. This German composer finished the piece in 1936, but the Nazi regime banned its premiere performance. Although he lived in a difficult time of political and musical upheaval, I find it interesting that he named this movement of the sonata Heiter bewegt, which means cheerful movement. Next on the agenda is chocolate peanut butter pie. This is a no-bake pie that is easy schmeezy. You start out with 8 ounces of cream cheese, and I have chosen to use the whipped kind, although you can use the regular kind, and I have made this with the regular kind as well. But this will come together a little more quickly. And add to that 1 cup of powdered sugar. So that will get things, add the sweetness to the pie. And then add to the mixture 1 cup of peanut butter. The smooth peanut butter, not the chunky kind. I suppose you could use the chunky kind, but I don't think it would get mix it quite as well because the nuts taking up space. And we'll mix this together. And I will use this spoon. And it really does, once the peanut butter gets added to the mixture, does mix quite nicely. Once this is mixed together, which is just about, is you take an 8-ounce container of non-dairy whip, Cool Whip, or its a generic version, the whole 8-ounce tub of it, and then mix a little further. Now this is so quick and so tasty that you're going to be amazed that it comes together this quickly. So you just keep stirring it till the beige of the peanut butter is mixed in throughout all the white ingredients, and that you don't have any chunks of just unmixed peanut butter. And what's not to like with these ingredients? Now we're told to put this into a store-bought chocolate graham cracker crust. And that is lovely. That works just fine. But I didn't have any of those at home on hand. Did a little Google searching and figured out a way how I could make my regular graham cracker crust turn into a chocolate graham cracker crust. And I just took the existing graham cracker crust and broke it up into a bowl and added 1/4 cup of cocoa to it and mixed it up so it's nice and smooth everywhere. Then I put it in the microwave for 45 seconds and then stirred it up, and then 45 more seconds because that reactivates the butter and it's in the crust. And then I pressed it into the pan that came with the regular graham cracker crust. And so I got this crust for, I think, 87 cents plus the cost of 1/4 cup of cocoa and a little extra time to put it together. Whereas to buy them in the store, they run anywhere from $2 to like $3.50 for a crust. And that seemed a little crazy, a little high. So I like my little chocolate graham cracker crust hack. So we'll spread this around and try to make it nice and smooth it out. And then we're going to top it. Let me try to get the rest of this. Don't want to waste any of the yumminess. There we go. That's pretty good. We'll mix it all around, make it smooth. Then we garnish it with Reese's peanut butter cups. Now I found these handy dandy, these are Reese's, but they are shaped differently and they cut up nicely, and I like it better. And I just cut them and make each one into 4 or 5 separate pieces to put on the top of the pie to garnish it. And I'm a little bit fastidious about things like this, so I try to evenly space them on the top of the pie, although no one really cares because it tastes so good. So I'll spread these out as evenly as I can. And but it doesn't stop the garnish with just the peanut butter cups, which would be, to my palate, a lovely garnish by itself. But what the recipe calls for is also a 1/4 cup of mini chocolate chips. So here we go. And so that really is a nice touch. Really makes the chocolate thing come alive. But this, again, is not even the end of the toppings. We're going to drizzle it. We warmed up a 1/4 cup of peanut butter so that it will flow a little bit, and we will drizzle it across the top of the pie to just kind of give it a little extra je ne sais quoi, as they say. And voila, here you have the chocolate peanut butter pie with a chocolate crust, and I think you'll enjoy it. Now they tell us to refrigerate it for 2 hours before you serve it. So a little television magic. I already made one ahead of time, so when we have our taste testing section of the program, we're going to eat the one I made earlier because it's refrigerated, but then we get to eat this one later. That's pretty cool. Next, Lydia and Emily will play My Song is Love Unknown, which is a song that has quite the storied past that was 5 centuries in the making. The lyrics were written in the 17th century by Samuel Crossman. The melody was written in the 19th century by Jean-Baptiste Galkin, and this beautiful arrangement of it was written in the 21st century, 2012 to be exact, by Molly Iams. This exquisite arrangement draws attention to the life and ministry of Jesus Christ, including Palm Sunday and the crucifixion. story today is entitled Entertaining Rodents Unaware. Keeping our water pipes from bursting during the winter months in the frozen Wisconsin tundra has meant that we not infrequently have entertained rodents unaware. A favorite port of entry for mice has always been the cupboard beneath the kitchen sink, the doors to which must remain open on frigid nights to prevent the water pipes from freezing. Sadly, a mouse trap or two strategically positioned in the cupboard have failed miserably in their intended purpose. At night, when it's time to hit the hay, our cat, Laylee, has taken to sleeping in front of the open cupboard, hoping against hope for some mousing action. When her wish comes true, Miss Laylee does not eat her prey. Oh no, her palate is far too delicate for that. Instead, she plays with it until it expires and then abandons it wherever for John or me to discover in the morning. Ew. Lately, in the middle of the night, a few of these cat and mouse chases have gotten raucous, with Laylee galloping up and down the hall and waking our dog Mocha sleeping in her crate. Well, understandably, Mocha feels left out, wants a piece of the action, begins barking, waking John and or me, neither of whom aspired to be an exterminator, but who must nonetheless get up to sort things out. Well, last night was one of those nights, the worst one yet. Laylee would not stop galloping, and Mocha would not stop barking, no matter what we did. Exasperated, John closed the cat in the study, thinking that would calm down the dog. We let Mocha out to explore the terrain. No mice were afoot, so she willingly went back into her crate with the normal lure of a treat. Mission accomplished. Not. Nearly every hour thereafter, this scenario replayed until in utter frustration, I had to use my almost out of patience voice with her. Mocha, no bark. Go night-night. Shh, quiet. Go sleepy bye. Please stop. Until she cowered in her crate, silent, but not for long. Within minutes, she was not only barking again, but now she was physically bouncing her crate up and down. Oh. Well, by then it was 5 a.m. John decided to just get up, let Mocha out of her crate, and do his morning Bible reading. And that's when John discovered the real cause of Mocha's brouhaha. It wasn't a mouse. It was thirst. We had accidentally not refilled Mocha's water bowl the previous evening, and the pooch was just plain parched, getting more dehydrated by the minute. John said she drank nearly 2 quarts of water, poor baby, before she finally settled down. Later in the morning, as I contemplated the events of the night, the Lord brought to mind Proverbs 18:13, which says, "He that answers a matter before he hears it, it is folly and shame unto him." I had just assumed Mocha's problem was a mouse. And though she tried to tell me what was really going on, I did not have ears to hear or the will to look for other explanations. Shame on me. Similarly, in our relationships with the human beings in our lives, we need to listen, get all the facts before we make any snap decisions we will later regret. Listening is an act of love, a reflection of our God above. There is wisdom in a listening ear. Just close your mouth so you can hear. Listening is ministry, so pay attention purposely. Be quick to hear and slow to speak, not full of self, but calm and meek, endeavoring the truth to seek. God in heaven hears our prayers, no matter what, he's always there, quick to listen and to show us how we too can listen here and now. Many souls are in distress. Lord, help us be compassionate, loving others just as God has loved, plus listening ears go hand in glove. Yes, listening is an act of love. The end. Well, we've come to the point where the food is made, the music has been made, and now it's time to eat and taste test. Thank you to Lydia and Emily for sharing your musical abilities with us. And now we're going to try the baked pork chimichanga and the peanut butter chocolate pie. So before we start, let's sing our blessing.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise him, all creatures here below. Praise him above, ye heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen.
Well, thank you. Let's dig in. For copies of today's recipes, or for free sheet music to the song Listening is an Act of Love, please call 920-262-4021 or email watertowntv@cityofwatertown.org. This program is available to view on demand at watertowntv.com or on the City of Watertown's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Please join us next time for Carol's Kitchen.